big welcome back. In this video we're going to talk about the immune system. The immune system is really back to where I started at the beginning. If you remember my story of heading to the dentist, taking one round of antibiotics and going down with the worst cold I'd ever had. This experience was really what prompted me to delve somewhat deeper into the microbiota and particularly its role in the immune system. As I mentioned in an earlier video, it turns out that 70 to 80% of your immune cells reside in your gut. And this is for very good reason. Because we are actually hollow tubes, technically your gut is an external surface. So you have a long tube running right through you from your mouth to your rectum, and your immune system needs to make sure that any pathogens cannot access your body through the gastrointestinal tract or the GI tract. This is a challenge. Here are some more amazing numbers. There are more bacteria on the planet Earth than there are stars in the universe. 5 million trillion. That's a 5 with 30 zeros behind it. And each of us host our fair share, between 40 and 100 trillion. So if we go back a very, very long time, microbes were the first life on the planet, and there is literally no organism on Earth that hasn't co-evolved with microbes. And the human host is no different. So the little microbes that hang about on our skin, our hair, our mouths, our armpits, most of us systematically have a go at them every day. Bathing, showering, soaps, shampoos, creams, antibacterial products. The microbes that are deep down in our intestines are more difficult for us to nuke, and thank goodness for that. Because if we live a healthy, well-nourished life, we have trillions of little microbes that are concerned with our well-being and keeping us as healthy as we are. These are our microbial commensals. The first job of our friendly microbiota is that of competitive exclusion. The microbial populations in a healthy system can actively outcompete microbial pathogens and prevent them from taking hold in these sites. Sometimes it's quite tricky for our immune system to identify the good guys from the bad. So our first line of defense is something called the mucosal firewall. This is a layer of mucus that keeps the microbes at a healthy arm's length from our gut wall. The mucus is a thick, sticky substance like you get clogging your nose when you have a cold. Mucin is produced from the goblet cells scattered amongst the epithelial cells of the GI tract. The microbiota is essential for producing the energy for the gut cells to produce the mucin that keep the microbes away from the gut wall. The first problem is that the majority of commensal microbiota, which is the friendly microbes, live in the lowest part of the GI tract, in the colon. The modern Western diet is largely made up of simple carbs and sugars, proteins and fats. Now, most of the absorption and energy from these easily digestible foods happen in the top section of the digestive system. This means that very little is left by the time it gets to the colon. What we're doing with a modern Western diet is literally starving our microbiota in the distal parts or the lower parts of our digestive system, which is where most of them reside. These starving microbes then have to find food from somewhere, and so start eating away at the protective layer of mucus in the colon, which is actually made up of carbohydrates. Without this layer, the microbes start to interact with our gut wall. Our immune system starts to react by trying to kill these intruders and causing a massive inflammatory response in the gut. There is a fine homeostatic balance between the body's immune system and the microbiota in the gut. With our modern day changes in environment and diet in the Western urbanized world, there has been a drop in infectious disease, but at the same time, a dramatic increase in inflammatory diseases. And these include asthma, multiple sclerosis, inflammatory bowel disease, and obesity. The metabolites from the microbiota, especially the short-chain fatty acids, make sure that the Treg cells function properly and proliferate, thus reducing inflammation and the autoimmune response. This happens not only in the gut, but also at remote mucosal sites like the respiratory tract. It's important to remember that the relationship between your commensal gut flora may go back many, many generations. The majority of your gut flora species may have been in your family, in your ancestors, and then passed on from mother to child, assuming you weren't delivered by C-section, where you might have the gut flora profile of the doctor or nurses in attendance at your birth. The point is that there is an amazing mutualistic relationship between your immune system and the good microbes. Signaling and influence goes both ways. It's complicated, and it's only just being unraveled by scientists. What is now without question is that our immune health is massively dependent on our commensal microbiota health, so make sure you look after it.